Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Please excuse the disheveled look today, the no makeup, non-narcissistic look. I don't pass the narcissist test because I don't think they'd come on looking like this. But anyway, I wanted to make a video for you, and it was a subject that I always kind of didn't ever realize what it actually meant. It's one of the diagnostics in the DSM-5 for what constitutes or one of the characteristics of someone suffering from narcissistic personality disorder. And it's actually, I think, on a point on its own. You know that the narcissist is grandiose, has this and has that. But one of these lines, one of these criteria for narcissistic personality disorder is that they lack empathy. And it's meant to be, and it actually is one of the most significant of all of the different criteria. But it's very difficult to spot. It's very difficult to spot because they're very good at cold empathy. They're very good at mimicking empathy. And I kind of always brushed it over, even though I shouldn't. The word empathy, what does it mean? It means standing in someone else's shoes. Does it mean nice? Does it mean being nice? Does it mean being loving? And it was only the other day, you know, the way we all have a lot of us have free time, not all of us, in relation to the COVID pandemic. And I was looking at various things on Facebook, and this video came on of two adults in a garden with a little guy. He must have been about 3, a toddler. And what they had done, I mean, I can't even fathom how they would make this up as a game, but this was what was produced in the video. So they'd made a duplicate little person, you know, out of tin with a painted face on it and a round head that was the same size as the toddler's, the 3-year-old. And this cutout figure that was exactly the same size was obviously on some pole, and it swayed from side to side. And the game they were, you may have seen it, I'm sure it's all over the internet, but the game the adults were getting the little guy to play, the toddler to play, was he had this big long stick, and he had to stand in a place and wave the stick or hit this little cutout person over the head and try and knock him sideways. So he was kind of getting the stick and going like this. And, you know, he just about reached him, and he was hitting him one side of the head and the other, and the figure was going from side to side. And I think the aim of the game was like in a fairground, that he should knock this duplicate human over. And anyway, he kind of hit him a few times, and then he suddenly threw down the stick, and the adults were laughing, thinking it was funny. He threw down the stick and he ran up and he put his arms the whole way around this little cutout figure, and he was crying and he was hugging him. Obviously, it had overcome him that he didn't want to hurt this little person, or even though it was only a toy, and that he was just overcome with emotion and sorrow and empathy. And it was the first time I realized, that, my God, this little boy has it. This little boy understands what empathy is. He had feelings. His feelings were transferred for this other little person figurine, and he really thought that this was a person, and he did not want to be hurting him. And it was just so beautiful seeing him throw the stick down and run to this other little person and hug him. And, it was just lovely. Now, to me, that's empathy, and that was the start of empathy. Why the adults, had introduced the game to him of him knocking this figurine over with a stick, I don't know, but that's for another day. In any case, I thought, if the child was narcissistic, or if it had been a narcissist there, maybe an older child in that child's place, the narcissist wouldn't have done that. The narcissist would have hit and hit and hit the figurine until he actually managed to win the game and knock the figurine over. And then the narcissist would have laughed and been delighted with the fact that he'd won the game, but he would not have had the empathy for the figurine. Anyway, it's a very simplistic way of looking at it, but it drove it home to me that that's what empathy is. And that if kids don't get that and aren't shown that up to the age of 7, when 7 is a crucial age in their development and their emotional development, up to that age, it's all about them. And then when they get to the age of 7, they see the world not just in their own light as them being omnipotent and the only one in the world. They begin to see other people and their needs. But if the child doesn't reach the development stage where they actually make that break, they go on from the 7-year-old and remain the 7-year-old who's all ego and it's all about them. So that little child was okay, but with the other narcissists, they don't develop that. They don't want to go and hug you when they feel you're hurt. They don't want to stop hurting you. They need to win. They lack empathy. And it's like they lack being a human being. They're very, very two-dimensional or three-dimensional. It's as if a person that has empathy has a head connection and a conscience and a heart connection, like a three-way connection. But the narcissist, it's like has a heart bypass. They don't have the empathy. There's something that doesn't connect. In their head, they have the head connection. They don't have the conscious connection. They have a head connection and the logic connection of what they should actually do. But it bypasses the heart. So that's the way, in my view, they start off, and that's a very simplistic way of saying how someone can lack empathy. And if you're in a relationship with a person and they're using cold empathy or they're mimicking empathy, it can be very difficult to know if they are actually a narcissist or not, because the empathy veil or the empathy obvious clue usually comes in the discard phase. So all I would say is if you're in a relationship with someone that you're not sure if they're a narcissist or not, the best thing to do is to look for any signs of cruelty in them. Cruelty is usually goes hand in hand with a lack of empathy or a sadistic nature. If they're able to hurt or see others hurt, you'll probably pick up on some things along the way. I know I did. I know I was taken aback by the narcissist's lack of care in relation to the way they'd interact with the public, or that the respect they had for other people, and that they might not clean up after themselves if they were in a public area. They basically wouldn't be too involved in doing a public duty. For instance, if they were part of a club or something and it was their turn on a rotation to maybe make a meal or make tea or make sandwiches, they would get out of that in some way. They don't feel it's their duty to serve. It's not their function to serve, rather. They're very, again, lacking in empathy. They lack public concern. They can be very cruel. It may only be at the end of the relationship, and if any of you guys like myself have been discarded, and it's when the mask falls, we really see their total lack of empathy in the absolute abhorrent cruelty of the discard and the disgusting projection and the crazy reasons that they will end a relationship, the recklessness of it. But the discard is, I think, the penultimate in when we see a lack of empathy, that someone, who purported to love us so much and was so involved in our lives and with so many future plans and so entangled with us, can coldly walk away and then talk to you in a manner that you are not even a stranger, that you're absolutely worthless, that you don't matter, that you have no significance to them whatsoever. So they suddenly go from being your soulmate to as if they don't actually know you. It's the worst lack of empathy that you could possibly come across. And it's at that stage that you begin to wonder, are they actually a psychopath or a sociopath? And I remember thinking, if this person can do this, they could possibly even kill. They could, if they have no remorse and no empathy in them, there's nothing in them. It's like a cardboard cutout of a person. It's very unbelievable. Anyway, I won't go on. I just wanted to make a video about when the penny dropped for me about empathy and seeing that natural, simplistic empathy in a child where they couldn't, contemplate making more blows on this other little human that they thought, that this figure cutout was. And the love and the running up to them and wanting to protect them and love them and not hurt them. It's the total opposite of what the narcissist is and what they're about. So look, guys, I'm going to leave it here. Again, sorry for the dishevelment, but I did want to make this. It was important to me when I made that when it clicked in my brain, and I kind of thought, there is no point in having a relationship with someone who is unable to love us, that their heart is bypassed, that the only time their heart switches on is if they feel pain in some way, or they feel that they have to look at their true selves if they're not getting their emotions regulated by a human being. And they begin to feel the pain of everything that they lack because they're unable to love themselves and they're unable to love others. And it's really sad. But it's very, very important that we recognise it or see the red flags in someone. And I think, as I say, the only way I think we can really see this is by observing the person that you're with, looking at the actions and not the words, and looking for signs of cruelty to others and also cruelty to ourselves. Okay, guys, I'm back to work on Monday, so I will keep trying to make the videos because your support has been so amazing. And we don't know each other that well. We just know each other from here, from this platform of YouTube. And it means so much. Some of those comments that you guys have made, and actually caring about the fact, that I wasn't making videos and things. But on a personal level, that really, really, really hit home to me and reminded me that there are so many people that are out there with empathy and that the world is a good place to be in. We just have to be careful for the people that haven't developed as young children and that don't have it. We just have to be careful of ourselves and guard ourselves. And I suppose have empathy for them, but just keep them at way out of the reach where they can actually do any harm. Okay, thanks guys. I'll go on and appreciate you being here. Please subscribe if you're new to the channel and you want more content. It really helps. It's very encouraging when you see new subscribers in the channel. That also keeps you going, as well as the wonderful support that you will also find here with the people that are here on this channel. They're totally and utterly amazing. Thanks, guys. Bye. Bye.